game, it's basically the same thing as a tangible, like, team comp choice.
Yeah. Okay. So, I think we're going to be seeing a lot more of that in this set because we have two of the European titans, as we've been mentioning. We have Kraken Paradise versus newly sponsored Ghost Gaming, formerly known as Olive. Starting out in Clan Blitz, Manta Maria. We've got more or less the standard team compositions from these players. We've got the Rapid Pros coming out on both sides. Heavy, more or less mirror team comps.
Yeah, I mean, I think the only difference right here is like there's a T-Tech instead of an M-Parry and both versions of the Heavy, very similar team comp. So we will, of course, we will see the
guys noticed that, but not only do we have mirrored team comps, but we also have mirrored rollouts, and like the Ten-Attack and the M-Parry, we're just chilling on the same spot, middle. It's the same spot.
So obviously these teams have similar views on how to be good at the game, and they both are practiced at it. So we're going to see a lot of similarities in this Clan Blitz matchup. Now, Soren does get this kill here. Soren, of course, has been kind of the slosher extraordinaire for a long time in Splatoon 2. He went from being kind of like, the Kiver's, Kiver and Soren, twin 52 gals in Splat 1, to now they kind of both gone in a separate direction. Soren is stuck with slashers for a while, but he does need to actually start a push if they want to, get this early lead that they seem to have been thinking about. And we've talked a bunch of times in the past that getting an early lead in Clan Blitz is disproportionately good in a lot of game modes, because if you get an early lead at the beginning of the game, there's no clams on the map for your enemies to counter push with, and it's basically just free points. So you're basically the enemy team just plays at a deficit. But it didn't happen. Early push didn't go down. Clams are getting to their normal spawn cycle now, so really not going to see that sort of early push happening now. As Kraken Paradise now gets domination of the map, they start to move up. Going to take out Soren potentially. No, it doesn't look like it's actually. It's Peppa Pig gets the clutch kill. Clam goes in.
That is why dualies are so damn good, is because do that with a Ten-Attack. I mean, looks like this push is sort of a one and done type deal, but it looks things Gray has gone in without any clan, so he can't finish. He can't add anything to that scoreline. However, so the interesting thing here is that basically Ghost Gaming, I know. Actually, I think most teams know that on this map, the most consistent way of scoring is just that sort of baller push and a bunch of people jumping in with Super Clam, Power Clam. And you can see Ghost Gaming's built their team comp around that, and indeed Sendo, here he comes. So this is going to be lead for Ghost Gaming, and then
quick jump out. That's something you don't see as much as maybe you should, people jumping in and then jumping out. Of course, usually you should expect to have your jump decamped and to punish, but that throw in jump out strategy, man, if you don't get punished, you're basically going to get free map control afterwards, and that worked out really well for Olive right there.
Yeah, so that was one of the usual.
Or did it?
We might see it here, in fact.
I don't think they're close enough.
The jumps are getting camped, and this is a couple of power clans going in back. Well, as long as.
Oh dear!
Thank goodness for Plontro, I think is what KP's currently saying. He just caught like 3 missed power clans and threw them all in. So the main problem, and we can sort of see it right here with the sort of power clan super jump strat, is that once you've gone in with the power clans and landed and thrown your power clans, generally you are dead. Like with a capital D, it's you do not.
It's an all-in strategy. Like, you basically have to win the game with it, because if you don't, you give the enemy team free map control, free clan control. And when I saw Soren, do that jump out, I thought to myself, like, wow, that's a cool solution to that problem. If you can. It's not going to work every time, obviously, but if you can jump in and jump out...
no!
Oh, that power clan fell off the map.
Yeah, so the power clan just exploded from Soren's grasp, and it didn't look like they were going to get the lead anyway, because they
would have been off by very close. I mean, maybe, though, if he had survived, he could have gotten a pick or something that would allow more clans to go in.
Yeah, well, no, he survived. The power clan just, when his baller exploded, took a bit of a swim.
Kind of slid off the side. But I guess to finish up what I was trying to say, it's just, that jump out strategy did not really result in a situation different than being wiped after the jump ins. And, look at the score.
Yeah, and we can see actually Plontro is taking a different approach to this, where he's put the wall down. Like, he's gone in with the baller, and in fact put the wall down, almost got the knockout. They're jumping in with another clam. It should be enough for the game, and indeed it is. Kaji finishes it off. So
hashtag online clan.
In fairness, I think the throwing animation or whatever for the small clans is a bit quicker. So
true, yeah.
she was able to get it off pretty quickly as she landed.
Had like 20 people firing squatting this guy in, but at the same time, I mean, like that was a situation where you could have argued like, oh, like this push didn't, the clams didn't quite go in for Ghost in this game or whatever. But you kind of saw the KDs. Both teams had one person kind of in the back line that obviously was doing a lot of the jumping in and didn't really get that many points. But aside from that, that was pretty convincing better KDs for Kraken Paradise than over Ghost Gaming in that first game. So I mean, it wasn't really down to just it's Clam Blitz and my clams and it's stupid. I'd miss the basket or something like that. It was the Kraken Paradise was out slaying and playing better objective in that game.
And I was about to say at the end of that what Plantre did was sort of a lot more. So Sendao jumping out after jumping in with the power clam is definitely quite clever. But of course the problem is jumping out is only slightly better than dying. In terms of giving up map control, like you're only.
I mean, maybe if you jump to mid, if you had maybe.
But that's the problem is everyone's jumped in already.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if you had like a beacon weapon or something, I don't really know offhand if there is a beacon weapon that.
So what Plantre did was he goes in with
umbrella,
and like he puts the wall down, right? So he sees like he's gone in and everyone's jumping to him, but while they're jumping in, he's figured out, okay, Oliver's defending from here. Ghost Gaming is defending from this part of the map. Put the wall down, jumps are protected. They can actually make something more like a normal push happen, where you sort of surround the bus and just keep piling clams in.
And hopefully we get to see some more of that. It would be nice if this goes to a game 5 and we get to see some more of that Clam Blitz. That Clam Blitz play from Kraken Paradise, because that really has me thinking. I feel like I have like 5 different points to make, but we do got to move on to Splat Zones here on Kelp Dome. I mean, one of my favorite game modes, Vanilla Heavy, always going to be super good here. The Inkstorm, always going to be super good here. Again, really similar comps from both teams. We have Plantro deciding to stick with that Slosher over Soren, actually. So it looks like a slightly different philosophy on how
he's looking to be getting caught here, in fact. Yeah, that's... I think that's just a simple case of the rollout for Ghost Gaming just being a little bit better there. Ghost Gaming taking the initial advantage here. You could see that sort of KP kind of got stuck there. They didn't really have any way of getting out from behind the sort of top mid structure.
And stay alive here. I'm not sure where the Inkstorm actually went off, but these are the specials that push back in the map, and that's how Kelp Dome works. But I don't really see the Stingray or the Inkstorm really too much.
Yeah, it's. I'm not even. Wait, is there even an Inkstorm in this game? I don't think there's an Inkstorm in this game.
Oh, no, it was a Rapid.
Rapid Pro. I thought it was Rapid. Okay, well, KP is getting back onto the zone here. A couple of well-timed specials there. On top of just generally, like, you could see that the initial rollout that they had at the start of the game, I think this is sort of what they had in mind when they were doing that.
Right.
Is to sort of all get in the middle and then all, like, spill out on whichever direction the shooters from Ghost Gaming are coming from. And now you can see this is the danger with Peppa Pig. Peppa Pig, this is what he does, is he sort of chills in your base for a while, and then your backliners creep out thinking they can maybe make something happen, and then suddenly there's a dually just in your face.
Surprise, nerds! And just kills everybody. And especially that Ninja Squid on the Amperi. I mean, obviously it's like, well, it's a curling bomb weapon, Ninja Squid should be good, but the way that he plays it kind of supersedes just, it's a curling bomb weapon, let's put Ninja Squid on it. He wasn't even using the curling bomb for that. He was just sharking in a very particular way, letting his teammates put pressure on the bait in a very particular way and following up on it. Unfortunately for him, Olive is able to kind of take back control with their specials after the fact, but this is a point in Kelp Dome where, one team is going to start to kind of dominate here, and we could see the lead change.
Yeah, I feel as though that last push there from KP was a little bit early. It seemed as though Peppa Pig just sort of inkjetted out of nowhere just to sort of try and get a pick on the Smartlink. It was a little bit exposed.
That was an inkjet because you had it, not because of inkjet because you needed to use it.
Yeah, it sort of felt like there was a bit of misplay there, but it seems as though they've recovered nicely, and it's a full wipe, in fact, for Kraken Paradise. So now Ghost Gaming is now forced to come all the way back from their base. You can see Peppa Pig already making his presence known in the Ghost Gaming base, and of course the Stingray coming in to clean up Peppa Pig's plate. So.
And this is looking like a good situation for Kraken Paradise. An Inkstorm is going off. It looks like there's an Inkjet going off now, and a Stingray. Okay, so this is basically Kelptone 1-on-1. You Stingray from the right side of the map while your teammate pushes left while another special goes off. And look at the members alive on Crack in Paradise after that special usage. Basically, beautiful, perfect execution there from Olive. That's how you take back on Kelptone. And now with almost a minute 30 left in the game, it's going to be 90 seconds for Crack in Paradise to do something about this, and they didn't gain the lead from that. So they don't just need a penalty, they need to be able to get control of the map, they need to get the timer all the way down, they need to actually just straight up basically hold the middle of the map for as long as there is time left in this game.
Yeah, well, they are making something of this, though. The Rapid Pro has been caught out, but Urza's here to clean up. Unfortunately gets taken down by Kaji, who in turn gets taken down as well.
Can even paint this? I don't know.
Plantro paint? No, he can't. That was incredible.
If only the sprinkler wasn't nerfed. But no, I don't even think he would have been able to do that anyway. I mean, as we all know, the zone is so big. It's so hard for one person to paint it. If there's one other person painting
it on the other side as well.
Yeah, if there's another person painting it, they basically can just play Ring Around the Rosie with you, and you'll never get to paint. Like, it has to be a really, almost a wipe situation for you to be able to get that without crazy specials. And even then, like, there really are no good specials for painting Kelptone. I mean, Inkstorm is probably the best, but it doesn't paint thoroughly. And it doesn't make that much of a difference, especially after they nerfed the painting from it, a while back. Bubble Blower and Bomb Rush, it's really hard to get those specials on both sides of the zone painting all at once. You kind of run into these situations where, like, the bombs get stuck on the grate, so you can't get to the other side, or like the bubbles can't be popped. It's just there really is no good solution to painting the zone except for just wiping and having everybody paint the zone as a unit.
Yeah, and I think you could sort of see that KP's problem was they were sort of going in a little bit too early with all those specials. It just sort of kept happening where you'd see someone sort of run in from street or whatever with an armor on and just sort of get tag teamed by like 3 people. And you could tell that, like, the special wasn't mistimed as such, it was just that it was used a little bit too early in terms of, like, a little bit too far from the zone. Like, everyone was using their specials at once, and it was all, like, real well coordinated and all that. But it was just a little bit too, like, they were a little bit too impatient in getting close to the objective before before collapsing on it.
Yeah, and I mean it's kind of.
Oh wow, we've already readied up. Okay, so we're moving to Rainmaker. Rainmaker can't Triggerfish. This sort of everyone just pressed A apparently.
Everybody, like I said, these teams know exactly what they're doing, so they don't really need to think that much about loadouts. It's okay, pick what you're supposed to pick here. Anybody have any, like, really important ideas? No? All right, A. And that's going to be it right there. So I guess we can blame the spectator for the game starting early. But another Rainmaker. Now, something that we talked about earlier is that, like, things like blasters and sloshers don't always do the best in Rainmaker, and we do see a slosher and a blaster on the side of Crack in Paradise, as well as a heavy, which, compared to a sniper, also might be a little bit worse at taking out Rainmaker. Sometimes that heavy splatling can have a little bit of difficulty consistently getting enough shots at long range. It does have a little bit of spread, it doesn't do the most damage, so we'll see if that kind of comes into play with Crack in Paradise not being able to stop a Rainmaker push in progress. Meanwhile, on the opposing side, we do also have a Rapid on the side of Ghost Gaming, but we have dualies. We have a Tenatech and an NZAP. So those are going to be, and a Charger. So those are weapons that are a little bit more capable. Oh, what a shot from Brian! As I said, capable of taking out the Rainmaker. Especially if shots like that are going to be happening, we can definitely expect to see Olive do a good job at stopping the Rainmaker pushes.
Yeah, it's one of those sort of awkward things with Chargers in Rainmaker, where if you can't reliably hit the shots on the Rainmaker, it's very, very hard to use a Charger in Rainmaker. But if you can hit those shots, the Chargers.
If you're Brian,
if you're Brian. You die with Stingray from across the map and trade. And also you tend to... that was very, very close to being an awkward situation there. If Soren had been able to survive that, that could have been a continuation on the push.
You could also... I was gonna say, you could also see, like, the kind of hesitation for Pepig to back up from that. He really wanted that kill, and then it was almost a situation where he got too greedy and went to die to that suction bomb. It doesn't happen though, and we're just kind of back to a neutral situation. Ghost Game pick up the Rainmaker again, and
Kanji died too.
I don't know.
That was. I just saw Kaji just have a heart attack over in the corner of the map. I was like, hang on, Rapids can't shoot that far. Anyway, so Soren is currently being assaulted by a Rainmaker, sorry, no, it's Rainmaker, a Stingray, because that's what happens when you run Special Saver, is you just die and respawn.
Yeah. I'm a big fan of Special Saver in general.
Overall, though, like, this has been very, very well defended from Kraken Paradise. Normally, when you have this kind of setup here, where Ghost Gaming is able to sort of get a couple of people sort of with the Rainmaker or push at once, the points tend to fly by. But this point so far, the Baller and the Stingray came in at just the right times to delay the push, and now they've got the Stingray back up yet again.
And a Baller back up again, yeah. So it's not like they wasted this special stopping the Rainmaker push. It's basically a reset situation. So Ghost Gaming has to basically deal with the same adversity they just did without any kind of benefit.
What was that shot? Peppa Pig just plucked, I think it was Sendao, from the ink rail going across to the nets. That was an incredible shot there from Peppa Pig from all the way in the middle. And Urza does stop the Rainmaker, but this is still a bit dicey because it seems as though there's some, it looks as though Ghost Gaming isn't really in a good position to, like, stop
especially if this rapid goes down, right?
Yeah, so there's sort of, everyone's kind of in the middle of nowhere, and in fact, yes, I think it was Gray taking the Rainmaker there, all the way up to the nets. Peppa Pig on the signature flank. The Stingray's down. Unfortunately, Sendar did catch him out, but
those guys jumping out were almost like AI that's coded to jump out if a Stingray is aimed within a certain degree of them, because they kind of jumped out in order.
But like that's one of the things with, like, we keep saying, it's like I was saying about the charges in Rainmaker, is when you're sort of just starting out, like, the charger in Rainmaker is quite difficult to play, and at the same time, you, like, fighting against a Stingray is quite difficult to do because of how, like, if someone's accurate with a Stingray, they'll just sort of pick you out and you can't really get away from it. And so, like, you end up sort of doing the super jumps away to stay alive, and Urza's, like, you can definitely tell he's in good positions, but unfortunately he just keeps getting found. By sort of two people at once, and that's just blunting any kind of push that Ghost Gaming is getting together.
Yeah, and we were kind of coming up to some kind of situation here where maybe we would see Ghost Gaming able to get a good Rainmaker push going, and the weapons of Kraken Paradise would be unable to stop the Rainmaker push, as we kind of were predicting at the beginning of the game. But with only 20 seconds left, it's looking less and less possible. I mean, at this point, like, the Rainmaker is more than likely to be taken out in the next 10 seconds, but the problem is, if the game goes into overtime before the repop opportunity comes up, it's just going to be a complete, like, stop of the game.
Oh, specials. Throw a bomb, Brian. Throw a bomb.
Oh, dear.
Oh, that's...
Oh, no.
Yeah, so 3 specials just attacking the Rainmaker. The Rainmaker dies by taking a drink. So... Yeah, well, I mean, at the same time, like, there was no way Sendell was surviving.
Even if they
and a Baller and an Inkjet all thrown at the same time. So
if he did survive that somehow, there was going to be so much coming up in overtime that was basically impossible. This also might be too soon, especially if Ghost ends up losing this. But that little jump off the map should totally be Sendell's subscriber notification on the stream. That's a pretty funny one. But yeah, no, we are moving on to tower control, Piranha Pit. So we haven't seen tower control between these two teams yet. We've seen the way it's been handled by these better teams. Of course, getting that lead and putting pressure on the lead. That is basically what we do. Again, pressure, kind of an ambiguous word. Maybe not the best to kind of describe, what exactly you want to do. But, basically working on the lead even after you have it is how we've been seeing these better teams play tower control. So we'll see how that ends up working out now. Now this, of course, the last time we saw tower control in Piranha Pit, we were introduced to that really difficult to get past choke point that is on this map. Basically, the tower, when you get on it, it goes in the opposite direction as normal. And then the tower kind of has to go in a circle around the opponent's base, like right in front of the opponent's base, before then pulling back and kind of taking an easier path. So really, most of what tower control on Piranha Pit is control of that choke point that is kind of early on the tower's path. It's very difficult to get past it. If you get past it, you have a really easy time, and it takes forever for the tower to get back to mid for the opposing team, and the tower is basically in a point that's it's almost easier for the offending team to get to that tower than it is for the defending team. So that's definitely something to look out to. If we do see the tower get pushed past that critical choke point, we'll see the team that's in control of the tower really have an easy time keeping the momentum going. That being said, we are going to be watching two teams that are going to be higher caliber. I forget exactly who we ended up watching play this game mode before, but you can expect Kraken Paradise and Ghost Gaming to have a really...
I think it was Synergy versus Oblivion.
Synergy versus Oblivion, yeah. So I do expect this game to... I expect this map mode combination to go a little bit differently than the Synergy versus Oblivion match. I think that we're definitely going to be seeing a lack of that problem that Synergy had with not really knowing how to get past the checkpoint. I expect one or both teams to actually get past that choke point in this game. It's just really up to how it can be defended if an opportunity to get the lead in return comes up. It really comes down to a lot of factors that mostly have a lot to do with good positioning at the right times and getting the picks when they need to control the objective.
Yeah, and I think so. What we've been seeing in tower control thus far is sort of that the teams that can sort of connect which, like, getting picks with objective, like points on the objective, those are the ones with the most success. And I know for a fact that both of these teams are very, very good at doing that. So, well, I think we're waiting for a substitute or something.
Yeah, let's go substitute. I guess while we're waiting for the sub, I want to take a quick look at losers bracket because we really haven't. We haven't cast any matches, but we really haven't heard much about it since then. So we did see Deep Blues kind of upset early on in the bracket, and they have basically 3-0'd everything so far, if I take a closer look at this. Deep Blues, they 3-0'd Cephalode Squad, Cephalot, whatever they are. They 3-0'd Spanish Army, and they're up 1-0 against Komodo right now. Of course, Komodo Deep Blues is, a lot of players from similar roots, Komodo, Deep Blues, Clockwork. We're all kind of like from this similar social group. So that is a classic matchup against friends happening right now in the losers bracket. We also see Element R still in it, actually. They're down 0-1 to Notorious right now, but Element R definitely making a very long way. Milana's team now.
They actually won against Jisoo.
Yeah. Oh wow, they won against Jisoo. I didn't actually quite scroll back to see that. So that's really good. I mean, they won via DQ against Fantasy, but which it's like they get a DQ. It's think of that what you will, but winning against Jisoo is a big deal. That was 3-2. It looks like it was close. They're down against Notorious. I don't know if that was a reverse sweep earlier. We'll have to check back in on that match to see what's going on. We currently also have Envision versus Last Station. Envision is up 2-0 over Last Station. Now I know that between the two of us, I was kind of. I think that Last Station was one of your dark horse teams, and Envision was one of my kind of dark horse teams, as in one of these teams that we kind of expect to overperform maybe for what we can give them for seeding. But it looks like Envision is doing pretty well. They beat Oblivion. They beat Koi Pond earlier, which Koi Pond was one of the teams that came out of Redemption bracket that was they did really well in that Redemption bracket, but they were taken up by Oblivion. But Oblivion, they've been doing really well. So the fact that Envision 3-0'd them is a pretty big deal. And then at the bottom of the bracket, we have Clout Gang, who has been getting, they 3-0'd EDPP, and now they are going to be fighting Stay Firmament. Stay Firmament is actually up 2-0 over Clout Gang right now, so that would definitely be an upset according to a lot of the seedings. Stay Firmament has 3-0'd everything in losers as well, so Clout Gang going out early is a bit of a big surprise, but there's all kinds of craziness going on because these 8 teams that we just mentioned, they're going to be going up against teams like Synergy. Well, they'll be going up against Synergy, Prophecy, Sweaty Greasy Nerds, and Amaterasu, however they actually pronounce that, because there's 2 legitimate ways to pronounce that name. But either way, the losers bracket is starting to get to the point where it's stacked, and this is what we talked about. You want to stay in winners bracket as long as possible in a tournament like this, because as soon as you get down to losers bracket, it's just basically a mosh pit.
Yeah, it's a absolute mess. It's just death everywhere. As you sort of get all these teams who are barely clinging on, everyone's sort of slightly tilted from having lost in winners bracket and all that sort of thing.
Oh yeah, that's the thing, right? Like when you lose and you get tilted, you get sent back to the losers, and then you fight a team that's on a losers bracket tear. That's scary.
Yeah,
that's really scary.
Speaking of scary, I just noticed that we're actually in the game, so we've got to stop talking about losers bracket and start talking about Piranha Pit tower control between Ghost Gaming and Kraken Paradise. That's a mount he had over there. Shoutouts to 9-Hole Grains. I think it was 9 who.
No, Marsh loves it, and 9
and Marsh,
because 9 calls me chaotic neutral, but so it looks like right away there's going to be a Stingray. I expect to see lots of Stingrays in this game mode. Even though there's only one Stingray per team right now, this map is kind of designed such that the Stingray weapon always has an easy time staying alive and farming Stingrays, and then using it from a safe position. So 2 Stingrays in the first 30 seconds, not a surprise at all, as both teams kind of flounder around here to get control of the middle of the map. Urza's going to follow up on that Ink Storm assist right there and start putting pressure on the opponent's base. Splat bombs and selection bombs, of course, are really good at offensive pressure on this part of the map. Now, there is an Ink Armor that is going to stop Urza from getting a kill here.
Very well.
But he also doesn't get punished though. Another Stingray.
You can see KP. Something I've just noticed in this entire set so far is KP is very, very, very disciplined with getting their specials out of spawn. You saw that there was a very awkward situation developing there where they had Urza just ink jetting straight into their spawn. Could have got very dangerous very quickly, but KP kept their heads, and they just got the Stingray, they got the armor, and just safely deflected the push back at only 71. So now they can definitely put something of their own together without having to worry about pushing the tower, as we've been repeatedly saying, all the way back from their own base. Tower just safely sitting at mid right now, but it seems that there's a lot of...
I don't know how safe it is. A lot of splash damage, just like...
I was about to say, there's a whole lot of splash damage just being thrown around the map right about now. A couple of trades coming out in favor so far of KP, but unfortunately they've got 2 specials that can't really get on the tower right now.
I like how basic this game mode is just effective trade into Stingray. Just over and over again. Yeah. And then the tower finally gets to the 70-point mark, and then it just gets shut down by respawners. So we're gonna be seeing a lot of that as an armor goes off right now, and Ghost Gaming is putting together something right now. They have the Stingray going off, they have the armor going off, they are trying to go for picks, but if Quantro doesn't, alright, Quantro does get taken down, 4v3 situation right now, tower's starting to move, Kaji all the way over there to the right. If he gets taken out by this Charger, it's actually huge for Ghost Gaming, because not having that Stingray to stop this push is a big deal. Now the tower was pushed to 64, and looks like it's going to be a stop to the momentum after maybe a few more points from Sindao, just kind of getting what actually could be a clutch few points. It's going to be a stop of the momentum. Members of Ghost Gaming went down off screen while that push was happening.
Yeah, it's that choke point that we were talking about, where like a couple of points right there could be the difference, because it's so difficult to get past sort of the 65-point mark. Once you've reached that point, it's just a snowball from there, because it's so, like, once you're already in their base, they can't really get out. But like, if they've just got to respawn, as you can sort of see right here, it's very difficult to get past these backliners who just safely hold up on the
especially when the frontliners, like, you know, one of the nice things about using non-Emperor alternatives for your front lines on this game map and mode is that you can just spam bombs at tower. So it's like, if your backliners aren't in position, the frontliners can throw in bombs at tower, and it tends to work. That being said, you know, you die enough and you're not going to be able to make those kind of defenses, and Kraken Paradise gets the tower past that critical choke point that we talked about, and now they have that they have the checkpoint out of the way, but as does Ghost Gaming. So in theory, Ghost Gaming should have an easier time than normal getting the tower past that choke point, because the checkpoint is no longer there, and the checkpoint is also one of the reasons why it's so hard to get the tower past there, because the tower has a stop at a perfect position for the enemies to defend against it. But there's about a minute left in the game. Not everyone from Ghost Gaming is alive right now, and it's starting to get to a point where they really need to put something together. But as Urza is getting these picks, as Ghost Gaming is starting to paint the map, it looks like they are starting to put together what they know needs to happen, which is a bunch of picks into objective play. As I say that, though, Quantro just completely denies it.
Yeah, so what you can see right now is sort of the setup that you need in order to push the tower past 65. We've already seen KP do it once when they got to 45, where once you've got people sort of chilling in and around the sort of pit area there, it gets very, very awkward very quickly. And basically exactly this happens. Your frontliners just can't do anything. There's no way for the frontliners to really contribute, because like they've just got a pit of death in front of them, and if they go all the way around, then their backliners kind of get taken out by ink jets and whatnot. And now KP, it doesn't look as though they're going to clear this checkpoint. Probably not. Yeah, it looks as there's no jumpers coming in or anything. But again, the same setup: a couple of picks, and then taking control of the pit in advance, and that is what gets you past that checkpoint, that choke point.
So there is a Stingray going off right now, and the person who is in position to get on the tower after the charger gets taken out does get taken out by other members. That's a full wipe. That is going to be a 3-1 for Kraken Paradise over Ghost Gaming, and the potential for Kraken Paradise to beat Ghost Gaming was definitely there. No one was saying that this was like. That just because Ghost Gaming is one seat above Kraken Paradise, the thing I think about.
This isn't an upset, but it's very, very impressive nonetheless. KP putting on an absolute show here. They're definitely showing up, wanting that trip to Japan. It's very, very well played from them. That was they essentially had what was going for them the whole game. There was special coordination. You could see they were disciplined in getting their specials out of the respawn. Kaji, she was always getting out to a nice safe place to build up a Stingray and then using it very effectively. There was always a baller between her and anyone who was going to try and take her out. And then there was also the Inkjet from Peppa Pig, always just in a good position to keep the backliners from being able to counter Kaji. And that's sort of how you need to, we've been talking before about the sort of Splatling versus Charger problems. The way you deal with that is you have your team deal with it for you if you want to keep using Splatling, and that means that Kaji is able to use the super fast Stingrays to her advantage, and then let her team deal with the Chargers. So that's the sort of thing you kind of look for in these really, really high level teams. Is they've gone beyond the sort of normal logic of the game of this counters this and this counters that.
Right.
They've gone to a point where now their team, the way they play as a team is what you need to counter. You need to actually outplay their entire team. You don't just win your 1v1 matchups anymore.
Oh yeah. Oh, and it's when you're in the driver's seat, you can kind of feel that, right? When the game stops being about just getting individual kills and kind of I'm playing the game. I have teammates that are playing the game with you to the point where you are one unit that is purposely doing stuff at the same time. That once that switch gets flicked, that's when you start to see this really high level play where it's not just situations as a commentator, you'll be oh, it would have been nice if this team, this teammate happened to do something at the same time. It's more along the lines of we're watching this team do things together in a way where, if individual person chokes or doesn't watch objective or something like that, it's usually not on the fault of that one player. It's really just the entire team is just, they have a goal that didn't line up with what the right thing to do was, and that's why it's really cool to watch, because you end up seeing really global decision making and strategy force outcomes of these games as opposed to just one individual player just kind of going off.
Yep. Well, speaking of going off.